Hello, Lindsay. How are you today?
Hello, Aubrey. I'm doing great. How are you?
I am excellent. Excited to record with you today.
Yes, me too. What are we talking about today? Aubrey, I do have one question before we get
Okay, let's
into
hear it.
it. Do you think that someone can be too enthusiastic? I mean, have you ever realized that you were
Yes.
being too enthusiastic in a given moment?
Yes, this happened to me recently where I was sharing with someone about a film I had watched. It was Project Hail Mary. I shared on the podcast how much I
Okay.
loved that movie. And I was kind of
Mm-hmm.
gushing about it to my sister in law. So they went and saw it
Okay.
without watching a preview, and they really didn't like it
Oh
because
no.
they don't like sci fi at all. And they hadn't
Oh no.
even looked, to know. So it was really funny. So I was a little too enthusiastic. I have to realize, like, not every movie is for everyone. Even if I loved it, others might not.
Yeah. Right. You have to kind of think about the person you're recommending it to and then decide, does this make sense for them? Right. Yeah.
Exactly. So this is really interesting. We're going to share something that can really shut down conversations, right? Being too excited, a little too enthusiastic. And we're going to show you what to do
Mm-hmm.
instead to keep the connection.
Yes, and this episode is taking in pieces from our brand new course, Aubrey. What
Yes.
course is that we're talking about here?
Yes, this is our active vocabulary course. This is from Module 6, Lesson 2, which is called How to Give Nuanced Descriptions. And we're just
Hmm.
taking one small chunk of this, like how the connection is hurt when you're too enthusiastic, and details about that and why and what you can say instead. But even that lesson is so much more robust. This is an amazing course that really helps you take all of the words you know and be able to use them
Yes.
when it matters.
Yes, exactly. We're so excited to announce the availability of this brand new course called Active Vocabulary for you guys now. It is on sale for the special deal this week only. And the whole idea is we know that you know a lot of words, right? What Aubrey just said. We know you
Exactly.
have a big vocabulary. It's not that you need a ton of new words. You do get new words in this course, but you don't need a ton of new ones. What you need is to be able to use them in the moment. Right, Aubrey?
Exactly. And that is what we are giving you strategies and phrases, what you need to do and know in order to access the vocabulary you've learned, to make it part of your active vocabulary so you can use it to connect in English.
Yeah, so you can go and get a preview. The course is actually on sale right now. So go on over to allersenglish.com/vocabulary and you will save up to $100 on the course this week only. And we'll give you more details at the end of the episode as well. Okay?
Awesome. So let's get
Good.
into this. We're first kind of talking about why. This might be a new idea for you. Maybe you haven't had that experience I did, right? Why enthusiasm can kill conversations. Part of the problem is that it
Yeah.
leaves nothing to ask, right? Nothing to discuss. And we might accidentally
Right.
create an awkward situation if we're so enthusiastic that no one feels like they can express a different opinion.
Oh, yeah. That can really shut down a room quickly, Aubrey.
Exactly.
um, this idea of if you're gushing about something, right? If you're
Right.
gushing,
What does
this
that
is a
mean
good
to
word. What does
gush?
this mean? Yeah. Well, I'll talk about it for a second. So to express this exaggeration, kind of an unrestrained enthusiasm, the idea that this enthusiasm is just coming out of you, it's gushing out.
Yes, I do this a lot when I'm really enthusiastic. I gush about
Yeah.
things, right? And sometimes
Do
it's
you?
endearing, but sometimes it's too much. And if someone disagrees,
Too
then
much.
they're in a tough
Yeah.
position, right? So you might say, I
Right.
absolutely loved it. No notes, or it seriously could not have been more impressive. You're gushing. That means
Mm-hmm.
your enthusiasm is unbridled, is very strong.
Unbridled enthusiasm. Exactly. So, what are some phrases that maybe we could use instead of just coming in and showing all this enthusiasm? We could be a little bit more nuanced in our answers. Right? If someone
Exactly.
asks us how a movie was or something, what could we say?
Yeah, so you might say, it grew on me, right? And especially if you didn't really love
Hmm.
it at first, but then started liking it later, this is a great phrase to say that something grew on you. And of course, if
Yes.
you really loved something, then you maybe not wouldn't say this. We'll have a few others that would be perfect for that. But some things, this is ideal when
Yeah.
you are worried that if you recommend it, someone's gonna be like, how did Aubrey recommend this, right? You can really
Right.
hedge here.
Could really hedge here. We've talked about hedging in other courses that we have, but another thing we could say is it's a bit of an acquired taste. So a nice balanced answer. Maybe you didn't like it at first, but then eventually you liked it more. Okay.
Exactly. Right. Or I could take it or leave it, honestly. And this is where you're really sharing, like, you're really being on the fence, right? You're not really committing either way. Maybe you're waiting to see what someone else thought about something before you commit. So this is something you could say. And then further in the conversation, maybe you share more of your opinion.
Yes. Or you could say it might not be for everyone, but I liked it. And the reason I love these phrases, Aubrey, is it makes it clear that we're constantly thinking about connection because we're thinking about the other person. We're thinking about the fact that, oh, maybe they won't like this.
Exactly.
Right?
This last one would have been perfect for me to use with anyone, really. Be like, this might not be for everyone. Do you like sci-fi? Right? I loved it, but I don't know. So yeah, we have to consider that other people might disagree. Something might not be someone's cup of tea, as we say.
Exactly. All right. Good stuff.
Hey, quick question. Do you want to feel more confident when you speak English? If so, we made a free guide for you. It'll help you avoid those common mistakes and start speaking more naturally in real conversations. Go grab it in the description below. And if this is helpful for you, make sure that you like and subscribe. We're here 5 times a week to help you connect in English.
All right, Aubrey, we are back. Let's do a role play to show exactly how these more nuanced answers could be used.
All right, we are friends talking about a new restaurant here. Want to start us out?
Yes. Hey, Aubrey, have you tried that new Korean restaurant downtown yet?
Yeah, I went with my family last weekend.
Well, was it worth the hype or what?
I think so. At first, I wasn't sure, but then some of the side dishes really grew on me.
Ooh, that makes sense. I've heard kimchi is a bit of an acquired taste.
I think that's true. You're usually pretty adventurous with food, right?
Well, I try to be. If I go, what should I order?
Definitely the barbecue. It might not be for everyone, but I really liked it. Cooking the food at the table made the whole experience really fun.
Nice. All right. So clearly, I'm asking you and you're giving me a bit more nuance about the whole picture of, maybe, these things are an acquired taste. I'm not quite sure, but overall it's a good recommendation.
Right. Imagine if I went hard with like, I loved it. It was the best. You have to go. And then you go and don't like it. Then I've created an awkward situation, right? If I, use these more nuanced phrases instead, then we can have this interesting conversation. And no matter what you feel about the restaurant, you'd be able to give me your honest take.
Yeah. And also, you don't want to be the person that's always answering with that enthusiasm, right? Because it can be a little boring for people to hear the same thing from you about everything. If you liked it, there's no, right? We want to show that nuance, those shades of gray.
Right. Or it might seem insincere. Yeah. If you're always so enthusiastic, then it isn't believable.
Right, exactly. Don't overuse it. Right. So what are some phrases that we use to add nuance here?
Yeah, so I had said, I wasn't sure at first, but then the side dishes really grew on me. So I love this. I imagine you going, maybe you love the side dishes, maybe you don't. Whatever it is, you'd be able to come and be like, that wasn't really for me. Or I loved it. And because of what I said wasn't overly enthusiastic, it would work.
Yes, exactly. Or the next one I said was, kimchi is a bit of an acquired taste. Right. So you're not saying it's great or it's terrible. There's so much in between that we can highlight.
There's room for us to discuss here and share our opinion. If I really don't like kimchi or if I love it, I would still feel comfortable sharing that with you after the phrases you're using.
Exactly. And then what else, Aubrey? What did you say at the end?
I said, it might not be for everyone, but I liked it because, this is really interesting. Not everyone's going to want to cook their own food on the grill at a restaurant. So I'm sort of, again, hedging here, right? I'm like, I really liked it, but it might not be for everyone.
Yes, really good stuff. So clearly, what is this about, Aubrey, when it comes to vocabulary? Let's just kind of reiterate here. What do you see as the biggest challenge?
Yeah, this is really interesting because if all you have in your vocabulary arsenal is unbridled enthusiasm to say like, I loved it, it was amazing. There's no nuance there to create a conversation, to give other people the space and freedom to share their opinions. So you need all these different phrases, nuanced phrases, and you need to understand understand how they'll be received.
Yeah, exactly. And then in order though to really have those phrases, we need to be able to pivot into using them. So you may know some of these phrases already, guys, but can you actually use them in a conversation when it really matters? That's the question we want you to ask yourself today. And that is the problem that we're seeking to solve for you in active vocabulary. Right, Aubrey?
Exactly. This is an amazing course. We're very excited about it. So go check it out right now at allearsenglish.com/vocabulary. You can save up to $100, but that offer ends Sunday at midnight.
Yes, again, our goal is to turn your passive vocabulary into active vocabulary. So guys, again, go over to allearsenglish.com/vocabulary to save up to $100 off the course. And yeah, the timeline ends soon. So don't miss this deal, this opportunity.
We'll see you guys
All
in
right?
the course.
Good. All right. Bye, Aubrey. Have a good day.
Bye.